Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Nick Passalis. I work in the Australian Taxation Office, and I've been invited today to talk to you about tax support for small business. Firstly, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of country throughout Australia and the continued connection to land, waters, and community. I would like to pay my respect to them and their cultures and elders past and present. Well, today's session is intended to provide you with some general information. Ultimately, you should seek professional advice in relation to your specific circumstances. We cannot give you specific advice in a public forum. If you do have any questions today, please email your questions to marketing@asial.com.au, or you can go online to ato.gov.au in the ATO community webpage, and all questions there are filtered by approved tax professionals and technical staff. So let's begin. All the information in today's session you can obtain from our website, ato.gov.au/coronavirus. The ATO is here to help. So everything that I'll talk about today, as I mentioned, is available on our website. The address is also included in your handouts that you should have been emailed today. If not, I'm sure you'll get the email shortly from your association. That's today's overview. So today I'm going to talk about the government measures that have been put in place to help the economy withstand and recover from the economic impact of COVID-19. In this session, I'm going to explain those measures being administered by the ATO to help you. So this will include providing the cash flow boost for employers, JobKeeper payments to help employers support their employees, increasing the instant asset write-off, making more businesses eligible, backing business investment by accelerating depreciation deductions, and giving individuals, including sole traders, early access to superannuation. I'll finish off today's webinar with some frequently asked questions from our website. And I did get a question that was emailed to me earlier, and I'll go through that as well. So let's start with the cash flow boost for employers. These measures provide temporary cash flow support to small businesses that employ staff. The ATO will provide tax-free cash flow boosts of between $20,000 and $100,000 to eligible businesses, delivered through credits in the activity statement system when eligible businesses lodge their activity statements up to the month or quarter of September 2020. Where these places small businesses in a refund position, the ATO will generally deliver the refund within 14 days. You must lodge your activity statement to receive the cash flow boost. Credits are currently being applied as you lodge. If you've lodged your activity statement early, you won't miss out. The credit will be applied automatically to your account. Let's look at eligibility. For most businesses and not-for-profit organisations, you'll be eligible to receive the cash flow boost if you've held an ABN on the 12th of March 2020 and continue to be active, have an aggregated annual turnover under $50 million, made payments to employees subject to withholding, even if the amount you need to withhold is zero. When we say payments to employees, that includes salary and wages, directors' fees, eligible retirement or termination payments, compensation payments, and voluntary withholding from payments to contractors. Also, on or before the 12th of March 2020, you must have either lodged a 2018-19 income tax return showing you had an amount included in your assessed for income in relation to carrying on a business, or lodged an activity statement or GST return for any tax period that started after 1 July 2018 and ended before 12th of March 2020, showing that you made a taxable, GST-free or input tax sale. In very exceptional circumstances, the ATO has discretion to give you further time after the 12th of March 2020 to hold an ABN or provide them notice that business income supplies were made. Exceptional circumstances can include where you were running an active business prior to the 12th of March 2020 but were not required by law to hold an ABN, or if you've deferred your activity statement lodgement under an extension of lodgement granted by the Commissioner. Now, there are special eligibility rules for businesses in some situations, such as entities that are not required to be registered for GST, charities, businesses with related parties, or that are part of a group and business with multiple branches. If you fall under these categories, please visit ato.gov.au/coronavirus for more information. The initial cash flow boosts are being delivered as credits in the activity statement system when eligible employers lodge activity statements for each monthly or quarterly period from March to June 2020. This means if you lodge quarterly, you'll be eligible to receive the credit for quarter 3, which is a March 2020, and quarter 4, which is June 2020. If you lodge monthly, you'll be eligible to receive the credit for the lodgement periods of March, April, May, and June 2020. The second set or additional cash flow boosts will be made when you lodge your activity statements for each monthly or quarterly period from June to September 2020. Eligible small businesses will receive an additional credit equal to the total of all the initial cash flow boost amounts they've received. This additional amount continues cash flow support over a longer period. I'll talk more about this in a few minutes. So, what happens if you have a lodgement deferral in place? Some businesses request lodgement deferrals when they experience exceptional or unforeseen circumstances. That affects their ability to lodge their activity statement by a due date. You won't be disadvantaged if, before the 12th of March 2020, the ATO gave you a deferral for your 2018-19 tax return, or it is not yet due, or the ATO gave you a deferral for your activity statement, or you are not required to lodge an activity statement yet. You will need to contact the ATO to provide more information to confirm your eligibility. You can check the ATO website, www.ato.gov.au/cashflow boost, for more information on how to contact them and what information and supporting documentation you will need to provide. If you have a deferred lodgement date, you may choose to lodge before the deferred lodgement date. So, I've explained what the cash flow boost is and who is eligible to receive it. Now let's look at how it works, and then I'll step through a couple of examples, so it makes it a little more easier to understand. But please remember, the ATO will automatically work your cash flow boost for you. Your initial cash flow boost is based on the amount of your PAYG withholding, which is the label W2 on your BAS. If you are an eligible small businesses that withhold tax on your employee's salary and wages, you'll receive a credit equal to 100% of the amount withheld, with the following exceptions. Monthly lodgers will receive a credit for March 2020, which is 300% of their withholding for that month. This is to align with lodgers reporting quarterly. You will receive a minimum of $10,000 across March to June 2020, even if your total withholding is less than $10,000. Your total cash flow boost for March to June 2020 cannot exceed $50,000. If you receive the minimum credit of $10,000, you will not be eligible to receive any more cash flow boosts until your PAYG withholding exceeds the $10,000 over the eligible periods. Let's look at an example. Tim employs 2 casual employees who each earn $10,000 per year. In the March 2020 quarterly activity statement, Tim reports wages paid and 0 withholding for his employees as they are under the tax-free threshold. Tim has no outstanding debts with the ATO. So if we look at this example, if we look at the rules, his withholding is 0. So 0 is less than $10,000. So Tim's initial cash flow boost will be the minimum amount of $10,000. Tim will not receive any further initial cash flow boost unless his withholding in June 2020 quarter is greater than $10,000. If it is greater than $10,000 in his June 2020 activity statement, he will receive more cash flow boosts up to a total amount across all the relevant quarters of $50,000. Let's now look at an example where someone's withholding is more than $10,000 and is lodging monthly. So Sarah employs 8 workers who each earn roughly $89,000 a year. In the months of March, April, May and June for the 19-20 income year, Sarah reports wages paid and withholding of $15,008 for her employees on each activity statement. How is Sarah's cash flow boost worked out? Well, Sarah is a monthly reporter, so she receives a credit that is calculated at 3 times the rate in the March 2020 activity statement to align with quarterly lodgers. So for her March 2020 activity statement, Sarah's initial cash flow boost is 3 times her withholding. So $15,008 times 3 equals $45,024. For the April 2020 activity statement, Sarah's withholding is $15,008. However, there is only $4,976 of initial cash flow remaining before she reaches the maximum $50,000 limit. So she'll receive a further initial cash flow boost of only $4,976. Sarah will not receive any further initial cash flow boost after she has reached the $50,000 limit. Okay, we've just talked about the initial cash flow boost, but as you remember, there is a second set of cash flow boosts. Eligible small businesses who received initial cash flow boosts will receive additional cash flow boosts for the monthly or quarterly periods between June to September 2020, equal to the total amount of the initial cash flow boost they received. This will be delivered in either 2 or 4 installments, depending on your reporting period. If you lodge quarterly business activity statements, you'll receive 50% of your total initial cash flow boosts for each activity statement. If you lodge monthly business activity statements, you'll receive 25% of your total initial cash flow boost for each activity statement. So, if we go back to Tim, who lodges quarterly and still has no outstanding debt with the ATO, he received initial cash flow boost of $10,000. So, he could get an additional boost equal to what he initially received, which is $10,000. So, when Tim lodges his June and September 2020 quarterly business activity statements, he will receive the additional cash flow boosts. So he'll get $5,000 when his June 2020 activity statement is lodged, and a further $5,000 at the end of September 2020. So let's look at Sarah, who lodges monthly. She receives $50,000 in her initial cash flow boost. Sarah received the maximum initial cash flow boost of $50,000 when Sarah lodges her June to September 2020 business activity statements. She'll receive additional cash flow boosts totaling $50,000. So she'll get $12,500 after she lodges her June 2020, another $12,500 after the July 2020 is lodged, etc. till September 2020, another $12,500, which be the maximum initial boost of $50,000. So I'm just going to go ask a series of chat questions now. So question 1 I've got here. Are you ready in the cash flow boost tax-free to receive it? Well, the answer would be yes if you lodge your March 2020 BAS. Do you need to apply for the boost? No. If you're eligible, the cash flow boost will be automatically applied as a credit to your account when you lodge your activity statement for the relevant periods. Are you required to pay the boost back when your income improves? No. However, if you've been paid more cash flow boost than you're entitled to, you'll be required to repay the excess. Will the ATO automatically calculate the boosts? Yes. Are the cash flow boosts subject to GST? No. Will you still be entitled to claim the deduction for pay-as-you-go withholding paid? Yes. And do you lodge your activity statements through the business portal? If you do, then as you know, the business portal has been switched off. So you need to transition to MyGov.au and link your business to RAM, which is a relationship authorization manager. If you want to know more about transitioning to MyGov.au, we do have a MyGov.au webinar that we run. If the demand's there, I'm happy to run it at this forum. Or if you want to log in to ato.gov.au, search for small business webinars and register for the MyGov.au webinar. Okay, it's worth repeating how to access the cash flow boost for employers. You need to lodge your activity statement. The ATO's website includes detailed information on how to determine if you are eligible. It also provides a variety of situations and examples and explains how to provide the information the ATO needs to determine eligibility, where a business may not fall within the general eligibility criteria. Okay, that's cash flow boost. Let's move on to JobKeeper. So let's talk about the JobKeeper payment. The JobKeeper payment is open to eligible employers, sole traders, and other entities to enable them to pay their eligible employees salary or wages of at least $1,500 before tax per fortnight. There are some important steps you need to take to prepare for the JobKeeper payment. This includes: check that you meet eligibility requirements, including the turnover test. Check your employees' eligibility. Verify that they are not claiming through another employer, and notify all your eligible employees that you have nominated them. Send the employee nomination forms to your eligible employees to complete and return to you as soon as possible. You must have received the completed nomination form from your employee by the time you enroll for the JobKeeper payment. If claiming the JobKeeper payment for an eligible business participant, ensure that an eligible business participation nomination notice is completed for one eligible business participant. Sole traders nominating themselves as eligible business participants can register directly on MyGov. Continue to pay at least $1,500 before tax in each eligible employee per JobKeeper fortnight. The first JobKeeper fortnight was the period from 30 March to 12th of April. A detailed preparation list is included in the links in your handouts. So you've got to remember that the JobKeeper payment is a reimbursement scheme for your employees. So you must have paid them $1,500 and you get reimbursed back from the ATO. You also need to enroll for the JobKeeper payment through the business portal using MyGov ID to log in, or if you are a sole trader, you can also enroll with MyGov. Your registered tax or BAS agent can also enroll on your behalf. Another step is identifying each eligible employee and eligible business participant that you will claim the JobKeeper payment for, and maintain their details each month. You also need to make a business monthly declaration where you reconfirm your reported eligible employees and eligible business participant. This can be done through the business portal or via your registered tax or BAS agent. The steps for enrolling are different depending on whether you're a sole trader, an employer reporting through single touch payroll, or an employer who is not reporting through single touch payroll. The ATO has released guides for each situation which provide a practical step-by-step explanation of how to prepare, enroll, identify, and maintain your eligible employees and make your business monthly declaration. The links to these guides are in your handouts. I'll go through some frequently asked questions on JobKeeper at the end of the webinar as well. So now I want to touch on increasing the instant asset write-off. So if you're thinking of buying new business assets, the government has increased the instant asset write-off threshold and introduced accelerated depreciation deductions to help you claim a faster deduction for the decline in value of these assets in your tax return. Let's look at the instant write-off first. If your business is eligible for the instant asset write-off, it can immediately write off the cost of each asset that costs less than the threshold. Claim a tax deduction for the business portion of the purchase cost in the year the asset is used or installed ready for use. Some exclusions and limits apply. The government has increased the instant asset write-off threshold amount for each asset from $30,000 to $150,000 and expanded access to include businesses with aggregated annual turnover of less than $500 million, up from the $50 million originally. Generally, this applies from the 12th of March 2020 until the 30th of June 2020 for new or second-hand assets first used or installed ready for use in this time frame. Again, some exclusions and limits apply. Before the 12th of March 2020, different eligibility criteria and thresholds apply to the instant asset write-off. It is important you check your eligibility and use the correct threshold amount that applied when the asset was first used or installed ready for use. If your income year doesn't end on 30 June, contact the ATO. So from 1 July 2020, the instant asset write-off will only be available for small businesses with a turnover of less than $10 million, and that choose to use what's known as the simplified depreciation rules. The threshold will be $1,000. The instant asset write-off thresholds have changed over the last few years. Information on the changes can be found on the ATO website. Let's now talk about accelerated depreciation deduction. For certain new assets that cost more than the instant asset write-off threshold, you may still be eligible to claim a faster deduction for the decline in value of your new assets by using the new accelerated depreciation measure. The measure was introduced in March 2020 to provide an incentive to businesses with aggregated turnover of less than 500 million for the 1920 and 2021 income years to deduct the cost of depreciating assets at an accelerated rate. For each new asset, the accelerated depreciation deduction applies in the income year that the asset is first used or installed ready for use for taxable purposes. The usual depreciating asset arrangements apply in the subsequent years that the asset is held. To be eligible to apply the accelerated rate of deduction, the depreciated asset must be new and not previously held by another entity, not been an asset to which an entity has applied depreciation deduction or any of the instant asset write-off rules, be first held on or after the 12th of March 2020, be first used or first installed ready for use for taxable purpose on or after 12th of March 2020 until 30 June 2020. Under the measures, different rules apply depending on whether or not an entity is using the simplified rules for capital allowances for small businesses. If you're a small business with an aggregated turnover of less than $10 million and you will use the simplified depreciation rules, those assets over the instant asset write-off threshold which are eligible for the accelerated depreciation are added to the general small business pool. You can deduct an amount equal to 57.5% rather than 15% of the business portion of the new depreciating asset in the year you add it to the pool. In later years, the asset will be depreciated under the general small business pool rules. The amount you enter can deduct in the income year the asset is first used or installed ready for use. Please speak with your tax agent to discuss this measure or visit ato.gov.au/coronavirus. Let's look at the measure temporary relief for financially distressed businesses. A statutory demand is a document sent to a company requiring it to pay a debt owed. The government is temporarily increasing the threshold at which creditors can issue a statutory demand on a company and the time companies have to respond to statutory demands they receive. This means fewer statutory demands will be issued and small businesses will have more time to meet the demand. The package also includes temporary relief for directors from any personal liabilities for trading while insolvent and providing temporary flexibility in the Corporations Act 2001 to provide temporary and targeted relief from provisions of the Act to deal with unforeseen events that arise as a result of COVID-19. The ATO will tailor solutions for owners or directors of business that are currently struggling due to COVID-19, including temporary reduction of payments or deferrals or withholding enforcement action, including director penalty notices and wind-ups. If you're a sole trader or an individual financially affected by COVID-19, the government is allowing you early access to some of your superannuation. You will need to pay tax on amounts released, and the money you withdraw will not be taken into account for any income or means tests. From 20 April, if you are eligible, you can apply online through MyGov to access up to $10,000 of your superannuation before 1 July 2020. You will also be able to access up to a further $10,000 from 1 July 2020 until 24 September 2020. You can only submit one application in each financial year. For more information, including eligibility, visit ato.gov.au/early access. The webpage is on your screen. While we're on this topic of superannuation, if anyone in this webinar is currently receiving a superannuation pension, the government are temporarily reducing superannuation minimum payment amounts. Information about that can also be found on ato.gov.au/coronavirus. In addition to the stimulus measures I've just spoken about, there are a few other measures I would like to bring your attention to. They're available for eligible small businesses. More information on these measures can be found on business.gov as they are administered by other agencies. So I'm not sure how many of you employ apprentices or trainees, but you could be eligible for a wage subsidy of up to 50% of their wage, paid from 1 January 2020 to 30 September 2020. If you want to know more information about that, contact an Australian Apprenticeship Support Network provider, AASN. The Government, Reserve Bank of Australia and the Australian Prudential Regulation Authority have taken coordinated action to support the flow of credit in the Australian economy, in particular for small and medium enterprises, SME. The government will provide a guarantee of 50% to SME lenders to support new short-term unsecured loans to small and medium enterprises with a turnover of up to $50 million until the 30th September 2020. This will provide businesses with funding to meet cash flow needs by further enhancing lenders' willingness and ability to provide credits. The government is also providing an exemption from responsible lending obligations for lenders providing credit to existing small business customers. This exemption is for 6 months and applies to any credit for business purposes, including new credit, any credit limit increases, and credit variations and restructures. I encourage you to visit business.gov.au if you wish to get a broader view of all the help on offer to your business. I'll stress again, business.gov.au is a very good website to get onto because it summarises all the stimulus measures, and it's a very good tool resource to have as a business owner. I also encourage you to visit the Treasury website, as that explains all the measures in the stimulus package, not only for small businesses, but for households as well. So the Treasury website's on the screen as well, treasury.gov.au. Okay, leading on from the government stimulus package measures, the ATO has implemented relief options to help businesses experiencing financial difficulty as a result of COVID-19. The ATO doesn't apply the relief options automatically, so you need to contact them to discuss. You can call through on the ATO Emergency Support Info line. There are a number of options I'll go through. Let's look at deferrals first. The ATO can work with you to defer some payments and vary instalments you have done. These include your income tax, activity statements, pay-as-you-go instalments, any fringe benefit tax and excise payments for due dates up to 12 September 2020. Deferrals will apply to the payments of tax liabilities only. Lodgement obligations will continue as normal to ensure business records are maintained. If your turnover is less than $20 million, it is worth considering if you should temporarily change your GST reporting cycle. If you report quarterly and you are due for a GST refund, changing to monthly means you get your refunds monthly, so you can access your GST refunds quicker. However, you need to be aware you can only change from the start of a quarter. So a change now will take effect from 1 April 2020. Changing your GST reporting cycle doesn't mean you have to change your pay-as-you-go withholding reporting cycle. You can manage this by specifying which option you want to change. Once you choose to report and pay GST monthly, you must keep reporting monthly for 12 months before you can elect to revert back to quarterly. If you're registered for fuel tax credits and change your GST reporting from quarterly to monthly, you also need to claim your fuel tax credits monthly. You can change your GST reporting cycle through your registered tax or BAS agent, or by phoning the ATO on 132866. If your GST turnover is more than 20 million, you must pay and report monthly. For many small businesses, the amount of income you are bringing in may have changed. If you're in a pay-as-you-go installment systems, remember that you can vary your pay-as-you-go installments on your activity statement. You can do this by varying your installment or rate before your lodgement is due, or revising your activity statement that has already been lodged. If you vary your PAYG installment rate or amount, you can also claim a refund for any installments made during the 1920 financial year. Where you choose to vary your PAYG installments, the ATO won't apply any penalties or charge interest to varied installments for the 1920 financial year. Contact the ATO to discuss remitting interest and penalties incurred after the 23rd of January 2020, or to enter a low interest payment plan if you need help to pay your existing and ongoing tax liabilities. I'd like to stress, please call us if you're experiencing any problems with the tax office. If you don't call us, we can't help you. So I encourage you to call us, and we'll listen to your circumstances and try to assist you through the COVID-19. Remember, as I mentioned, the ATO doesn't apply these relief options automatically. So you need to contact the ATO to discuss. You can call the emergency support info line. You can also action some of the ATO relief options online in your activity statement. Remember, if you lodge your activity statement through our business portal, you need to log in using your new MyGov ID digital identity. I mentioned earlier that the ATO are running Show Me How webinars to step you through the setup process and make it easier for you to take advantage of the options available to help your small business in these unprecedented times. The ATO has extended their opening hours on the phone. It says 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. on the screen, but that's now been brought back to 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So you've got a 12-hour window, Monday to Friday. And on Saturday and Sunday, we're open 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. As well as all the webinar I went through today and the Show Me How webinar on MyGovID, we also have other small business webinars that we can run for you. So if you ever want to know anything about tax, there's more than likely we have a webinar that can help you in that space. So please go on ato.gov.au/small business webinars and see what other webinars are available that can assist you. Okay, that's all the specific stimulus measures and additional ATO support at this time. If you're feeling overwhelmed or experiencing financial difficulties, I stress contact the ATO as early as possible so they can work with you to find a solution. It's never too late to contact us and ask for help. To support the current demand due to the effects of COVID-19, as I mentioned, we've increased our opening hours. I encourage you to ring first thing in the morning at 8 a.m. because, as you can understand, we currently have a high volume of demand on the phone. So please be aware of that. And weekends as well tend to be less people. So ring between 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Friday, and 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday Eastern Standard Times. I also want to ask you to please stay vigilant during this time. There's scammers and fraudsters that are constantly developing new ways to steal from the community and will often try to take advantage of people when they are most vulnerable, including situations such as COVID-19. If you receive a phone call, text message, or email that you're not sure is genuine, contact your tax agent or the ATO via an independently sourced number. You can also verify, report, or learn how to spot a scam at ato.gov.au/scams. And that link is also included in your handouts. So that's the end of what I wanted to cover today. I'm going to go through some frequently asked questions that are on our website. The first question I want to go into is the question that was sent to me, and that was, okay, can you clarify the below question, please? I need some clarification on super and accrued leave payments when processing JobKeeper. I know legislation is not passed yet, so it's a little unclear, but the ATO has advised to me via the ATO community the following. At present, new rules are being introduced by the government with the intention to not require super guarantee to be paid on additional payments that are made to employees as a result of JobKeeper payments. We will update this information once legislation or regulations are in place. So, does that mean I do not have to pay super on the JobKeeper payment of $7.50 per week when the staff member does not work any additional hours above the $7.50 per week? And do I pay super on any hours above the $7.50? Similarly, with leave accrual, I believe all staff get paid full leave accrual on JobKeeper, irrespective of how many hours a staff member worked. Can you please confirm? So the answer I got back for that, with super guarantee, as you know, we do have some super guarantee rules, which is 9.5% of ordinary wages over $450 per month. But for JobKeeper, if the eligible employee is working, that is doing work hours and receiving minimum amount of $1,500 per fortnight, yes, super guarantee must be paid. However, if they're not doing any working hours and they're receiving the minimum amount of JobKeeper payment of $1,500 per fortnight, then no super guarantee must be paid. So if you've got them working and they're working, then super guarantee is applicable. If they're not working and they're eligible and they're receiving the $1,500 minimum JobKeeper just to keep them as an employee, then no super guarantee must be paid. For the leave accrual, unfortunately, we're not sure on that one. I encourage you to refer to the Fair Work Ombudsman for this one, as it's something related to those guys instead of an ATO perspective. Okay, I'm going to go through some frequently asked questions, and then, as I mentioned, if you've got any further questions that haven't been covered or you're concerned, I encourage you to talk to a tax professional, or you can email marketing@asial.com.au or get onto the ATO community on ato.gov.au, and this is filtered by approved tax professionals and technical staff within the ATO. So I'm going to go through some questions now. JobKeeper, when will I receive the payments? On average, most payments issue within 5 business days from when you submit your application form, when you identify and maintain your employees. However, it may take longer if there are additional checks required or any errors are made on your form. So if you've lodged the form and you haven't heard anything within 5 business days, please contact the ATO, because there might be some errors or we might require some additional information. Another question. My employer has asked me to work more hours. Do I need to? The answer to that one is at least $1,500 before tax a fortnight must be paid to eligible employees. This amount does not change based on the amount of hours you work. You need to contact the Fair Work Ombudsman to discuss conditions relating to your specific employment. Let's go to early release of super. When will I receive the early access payment from my super fund? If your early access to super due to COVID-19 has been approved, your super fund should make the payment to you within the next 5 working days, unless they need to undertake further checks. For more information, see our COVID-19 early release of super page. So another question, why is my super balance on MyGov less than I thought? Well, MyGov displays the latest information that your super fund has transmitted to us. So it is as at 30 June 2019 for most funds. Refer to your most recent super statement or contact your super fund for more recent figures. And one question on super again, can I access ATO held super? The answer to that, ATO held super cannot be accessed through the early release of super program. Okay, I'm going to go through some cash flow boosts, commonly asked questions. Am I eligible to receive the cash flow boost? The answer to that is there is a list of eligible criteria you will need to meet to get the cash flow boost. For more information, see eligibility, and I think we went through most of the eligibility today's webinar. Another question, when will I receive my cash flow boost? The cash flow boost is not a cash payment if you are eligible. The cash flow boost will be applied as a credit when you lodge your March 2020 monthly or quarterly activity statements. The credit is used to reduce your liabilities. For example, the PAYGW and GST payable from that activity statement only. If your liabilities are less than the cash flow boost, the remaining credit is refunded to you within 14 days. I thought I was getting a $10,000 cash boost, but I received less. As I mentioned, the cash flow boost is not a cash payment. If you are eligible, a minimum of $10,000 will be applied as a credit when you lodge your March 2020 monthly or quarterly activity statement. So, how it works. The credit is used to reduce your liabilities. For example, PAYGW and GST payable from that activity statement, so the March 2020 activity statement. If your liabilities are less than the cash flow boost, the remaining credit is refunded to you. Excess credits will not be offset against other existing tax debts. So once the PAYG and GST come off that activity statement, so for instance, let's do an example here. Your PAYGW will use Tim's example was 0, and say you had a GST payable of $2,000, so he's eligible for $10,000. So the $10,000 will come off the $2,000 GST payable, and he'll get a credit of $8,000, which will be refunded to his bank account. If you want to know more information on your cash flow boost, please visit our Boosting Cash Flow for Employers webpage. And if your question's not here and you've still got some questions, as I mentioned, please visit the ATO community, which is available 24/7 with questions, answers, and regular updates. So I encourage you, ATO community, is where to go to get your personalised questions answered. Otherwise, you can email your marketing at ASIAL.gov.au or talk to a tax professional. Okay, that's basically all I had to cover today. I appreciate your time, and I wish you good luck through these difficult times. I hope your business recovers successfully and you go on to run a successful business. Please don't forget, we do have help lines. The only reason you can qualify for most of these support measures is to ring us and talk to us about your circumstances. So please, I encourage you to call the ATO between the hours I mentioned. I'll put them back on the screen. It's only up to 8 p.m. So please ring us, talk to us about your circumstances, and we'll work with you to help you through COVID-19. Okay, that's all I've got to say for now. Thanks again. Have a great afternoon and a great weekend, and good luck. Thank you.